Although I didn't understand your Polish introduction, I got the feeling it was a warm welcome. And of course, we have a strong Polish influence in Dortmund football, and that might be also the reason for me to be invited. So thanks for the invitation. Thanks for the interest in Borussia Dortmund. I'm working for this club as the commercial guy since 7 years, and to be honest, jumping on the BVB train in October 2010, I never expected to be invited to a conference like this, because when we started to develop Borussia Dortmund to a powerful and successful brand, to a powerful and successful football club, we didn't expect that we were that successful then in the last years. And therefore, I'm proud to work for this club. I'm proud to be invited here. I'm proud to represent some Polish impact in Dortmund football as well. And I'm proud that I was able to bring you guys back from the buffet to the stage, and in order to make it as easy as possible to start from eating to listening, I would like to start with a short movie in order to give you a slight feeling what we are talking about in the next 28 minutes.
In 1909, 18 young men founded a football club across all social strata, driven solely by pure love for the game, an endeavour that has grown steadily over the years and won over the people's hearts in Dortmund forever.
Glückliche Männer vom Borsigplatz.
Nach 32 Jahren Borussia Dortmund endlich wieder deutscher Meister. Lupfen jetzt! Ja!
From the highest highs
Die in der Mitte Koller vorbei, da ist Everton!
to the lowest lows, we always stand united. One love, one game, one club.
Nochmal Barrios und Dortmund ist Meister 2011.
Jetzt kommt das Wunder von Dortmund. Reus in die Mitte. Wir machen rein. Tor, 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 Tor für Borussia Dortmund. 3:2. Wir rasten alle aus.
Here at Borussia Dortmund, we celebrate football. Let's do it together.
In order to be a polite guest, we made the decision not to put in some pictures from our victory last year in Warsaw when we played against Legia. I don't want to talk about the number of goals we scored, but it was a nice game. And being in Poland, I think it might be more sensible to avoid pictures like this from last game. Well, the most important word of this conference is the word experience. And when the guys from Ringier Springer asked me, would you be able to join this conference, would you tell us something about the experience in Dortmund? I said, yes, I will do, but it might be a little bit boring, because we are talking about a very, very simple experience. We are talking about a real experience about the football game, because although many of you think we are a very exciting and maybe also interesting brand, I would say, finally, we are a very boring brand, because our business model hasn't changed the last 108 years. From founding the club in 1909 until now, we are just playing football. And if we talk about the opportunities of brand extension, what does fit to a brand, we are also a very boring and one-dimensional brand, because our brand is not really able to accept any further extension. We focus on football. So the main experience we can deliver to you is the real football experience. And whatever we do has to protect the football experience, because it is so simple. We were a football club and we still be a football club. And this is something we want to try to care on. And this is something, yes, of course, we want to try to deliver to you guys as well, but not by changing the real experience, but by respecting the real football experience. Football is the core business, and if you compare our stadium to this fantastic arena, we just own a football stadium. We never would be able to host an event. I don't know which musician is playing in this stadium in the next week. We are just a football stadium. We wouldn't substitute the pitch just in order to host a big business event or a big concert next week. That's not Dortmund. And getting the opportunity to talk to some of the media guys before the conference, they asked me, what makes Dortmund a little bit different? What's the reason that so many people do like Dortmund? And what's the reason that Dortmund seems to experience the people in this area of the body and not only in this area of the body? And this I will try to explain. Sorry for being a little bit love in ourselves. I don't know the right word in English. Sorry for being sometimes a little bit self-confident. It doesn't hopefully give you the impression that we are arrogant, but yes, we are fully convinced about the strategy we are developed. We all love to work for our club. We all are fascinated by our brand as well, because in our mind, we are a little bit different. If we talk about the brand attitudes, and this is something I always start by presentations like this, I want to give you some background information about the brand attitude, which might be different from other football clubs. Most of the football clubs just talk about the results from the weekend, and that means you're completely depending from the position in the league or from the victory or the loss. We try to make Borussia Dortmund as independent as possible, because it's not part of our DNA to be number one. We can't guarantee our fans to be successful. We are not obligated to win. If it means you will be just a supporter of a football club, if the football club will be successful, then we won't be able to be interesting for the people. And therefore, we asked ourselves, what's the difference between us and other clubs? And we asked ourselves, wherefore does the brand of Borussia Dortmund stand? And I guess you will agree, if you see all these words, this is exchangeable. This is not really able to describe Borussia Dortmund, but we used these words just 10 years ago. We have a wonderful, a lovely color code. If you talk about emotional experience, black and yellow, more is not possible. Red and white, sorry for saying it to Polish people, red and white in German football is boring. It might also refer to Bayern Munich, but the color code of Borussia Dortmund, black and yellow, is so extreme. It shows you how extreme, how intense Borussia Dortmund is. If you see the logos, how we tried to describe Borussia Dortmund just 10 years ago, that's I would say it's a mix of unclear pictures of Borussia Dortmund. And it was at the end a kind of corporate design for the uncorporate identity of our club. And this was the reason that we asked ourselves, wherefore does the brand Borussia Dortmund stand? Yes, of course, we always were very powerful, but in our mind, we need to bring the energy in one direction. And that didn't work 10 years before, and that was the reason that we started a changing process in order to define our core competences. Because without knowing wherefore your brand as a football club stands, you can't create a football experience. You can't explain the people the Dortmund experience. And therefore, the brand positioning process, the brand definition, the brand identity is in our mind the core asset that the football experience in Dortmund seems to be a kind of unique one. I also took this invitation because usually I'm a guy which job is a forbidden job in German football. Don't talk about marketing, maybe feel marketing, but don't talk about. I would describe my job as a guy who's responsible for cleaning the window, for decorating the window, but never put the marketing in the window. So we have to care on the product, but we are definitely not the product. This is something we have to protect. And to tell you something about marketing was another reason to come to Warsaw, because usually I'm not really invited to tell our supporters something about marketing. There is another issue which is very, very important and which obligates all of us how to create the football experience, because whatever the people spend happens in this area of their body. We don't have rational clients who make their decision depending from the price. If you would get a box of Coca-Cola cans and they will give a cap for free to you, you won't wear the cap even for the gardening working if you get it for free. Our supporters go to our retail stores and buy more than 700,000 shirts a year in order to be a brand ambassador, although they pay for it. And this shows the loyalty, the degree between the relation of the supporters and our club. So we don't have customers, we have fans. But this is important for the experience as well. If the people spend more than just their money, if they spend their heart, you have to care on their concern and demand. And this is important for your experience as well. And this is something which brings us to the estimation that sometimes we have to say no, because no is important. Sometimes to use this finger is more important. To say no to different tools, no to some of the measures is more important, because in this way we can avoid some mistakes. As I said before, people do spend us their heart, they spend us their love, they spend us their emotion. This is something which makes Borussia Dortmund unique. And then we develop the brand identity of Borussia Dortmund, and hopefully, if you talk about Borussia Dortmund, if you experience Borussia Dortmund, if you read about Borussia Dortmund, you get some feeling for these words from the brand steering wheel of Borussia Dortmund. Whatever we do has to bond people. Whatever we do has to be ambitious. We want to be successful, although we are not obligated to be successful. We want to be authentic. This is important as well. A couple of months ago, Walt Disney was interested in a collaboration with us, and we thought they might use the characters like Winnie Pooh and Mickey Mouse in order to bring Walt Disney and Borussia Dortmund together, but they were interested in the Marvel characters. Of course, fascinating characters, but in our mind, not really fitting to the brand identity of Borussia Dortmund. Many people, just the guys from the media, asked me, why do you not offer esports to Borussia Dortmund? I said, to offer a Call of Duty team of Borussia Dortmund doesn't fit to a club who's referring in such an intense way to authenticity. So authenticity, not being artificial, is very important. And as I said at the beginning, it might sound a little bit boring, it might sound a little bit one-dimensional. In our mind, it is very, very important to be as authentic as possible in order to reach as many people. I will give you some pictures. I don't need to explain what does it mean to be intense, what does it mean to be authentic. You can read it, but for us, these four competences are very important also for the inscenation of the real and later the digital football experience. We have to be intense, we have to be authentic, we want to be able to bond as many people as possible. We do have 55,000 season ticket holders. Might be sensible to reduce it to 30,000 people in order to get a different mix in your attendance, but then it wouldn't be the Dortmund attendance. And if you have a picture in mind regarding the yellow wall and our stadium, the people in the stadium are the main USP, the main asset of Borussia Dortmund. Of course, we could change from 25,000 standing people in the yellow wall to 12,000 seating people. Yes, of course, we could ask for more money, but then it wouldn't be the Dortmund football experience. Yes, of course, we can increase the ticket prices, but then it wouldn't be Dortmund. And Dortmund, as Dortmund, just works in a way like this, and therefore, for us, it was important to ask ourselves, wherefore do we stand? What's the core asset of Borussia Dortmund? And to bring it together in two very important claims. Us are the representatives in our mind for the intense football experience, which is shown by the yellow wall with the 25,000 people, and to bring it together on a claim, it's the echte Liebe you could transfer into English by real love or true love. So whatever we do has to be authentic, has to reach people's heart, and is a promise to the people, but an obligation for the guys who are working as well for the club. So what does this mean? This is something which gives us the limit, the restrictions regarding the real football expertise. But we need the digital world, of course, because without the mobile devices, Borussia Dortmund would be a closed shop. And we want to reach as many people as possible, and we want to create other experiences with Borussia Dortmund by the digital, by the mobile devices as well. But without knowing where for the brand stands, we wouldn't be able to create credible content and credible football experience on this. And I think in a world which is always going on, which is going on faster, which is going on more digital, it might be something like a kind of relaxing, regenerating, if this content is maybe a little bit different than other commercial content. The digital world of Borussia Dortmund, it's not a beauty contest we want to join, but it's important to show you the numbers just to give you a feeling that we are able to reach many people, although we are that focused, although we are such a puristic football club in our mind. So we are able to reach many people via different digital channels. But again, if authenticity is so important for your brand, the way we communicate with the people has to be as authentic and as emotional and as intense as possible as well in order to be credible. And therefore, we made, for you guys in the media world, it's nothing really new, but for a football club to hire a guy who's called a content manager to offer jobs like this, it's a kind of revolution, because we do have a guy or a department with more than 5 guys now who are working for our football club, and they do have 2 jobs. Generate as much content as possible, but much more important than generating, offer them in the right way for the different channels. Don't put all the stuff to Facebook. Don't put all the stuff to Twitter or on the BVB homepage. Try to differentiate the target group. Try to analyze the way how the people are interested in the content of Borussia Dortmund, and try to individualize it as much as possible. But again, authentic. Don't send commercial stuff day by day to the people, because then it's not Dortmund. It has to be the real football experience we want to transfer. We never would try to put the people under pressure by buying a shirt just with a discount of 20%. That can work for other football clubs, for other competitors. It's not our way. But, for example, to do advertising for the shirt of Lukas Piszczek, the easiest way is to deliver interesting content with Lukas Piszczek, which creates interest of the Polish people and which creates a kind of consuming atmosphere that the people are interested maybe to buy a shirt of Lukas Piszczek. That's the way of Dortmund. But again, without knowing wherefore we stand, we probably would make it different, and maybe we would make some mistakes, but mistakes which will be responsible for a loss of credibility, and credibility is important in order to reach a loyal relationship between the supporters and our club. So what does this mean for the real football fan experience? Content is king. Stupid message. You might be bored again, because that's core business for you guys, but for us as well. Those are the most important guys. I have just the job maybe to use them wearing something like this, but for example, I didn't tell them both wear the masks like this. They did it by themselves. And then it's up to us to use it. It wasn't me to say to the sports guys, hire a guy from Japan, because it might help us to open the doors to Japan. It was a decision done by the sports guys. And then it's up to us, to the marketing guys, to use it, to inscenate it, but never do it in a different way. So the football has to be in the main focus, whatever we do. And as long as we protect the game, as long as we focus on football, I'm very sure that we will be successful. It's not necessary to win. It's not important to avoid losses, but be yourself, be a football club, because this is something the people are interested in. This is the game the people love, and this is something we have to protect. And our big advantage is that so many other competitors just talk about the business opportunities and do it in a different way, that they lost the focus on the game. And for us, and this picture will come later, but I will offer it now, it was very important to install a free Wi-Fi structure into our stadium. 40,000 people are able to go online by 1 second. But we made the decision to reduce the speed of the Wi-Fi at the moment kickoff is, because we are a football club. So you can share whatever you want before the game, during halftime, after the game. You can do whatever you want. But at the moment we start the game, focus on the game. And it's a very simple reason. If you have one hand on your second screen, you can't use both of your hands in order to make the football experience in Dortmund to the Dortmund experience. Might sound a little bit stupid and boring again, but that's Dortmund. And if you talk about Dortmund, you talk about the atmosphere in Dortmund, about the intensity. And this is something we are really concerned about. And of course, we want to make the next step regarding innovation, regarding technological development. But we never need to be a first mover. We never need to open the Wi-Fi to the people during the game. Why for? The game is most important. We will lose credibility if the atmosphere in the Dortmund stadium is a different one. And this is something I wouldn't be able to tell you in such clear words if we wouldn't know wherefore our brand stands, and therefore the intense football experience in our stadium. This is the Dortmund asset. But again, we know it's just our microsystem. Without opening the digital doors to the world, we wouldn't be able to transfer the experience. But again, it's our obligation to transfer this experience as emotional, as intense as possible. I will give you some, finally, examples. What does it mean to protect the authentic Dortmund experience? For us, it's not important to reach more money from each single supporter by increasing the ticket prices or by increasing the beer price. We want to make football available and accessible to everyone of the society. A season ticket in Dortmund for the Yellow Wall is below 200 euros, which is money, of course, but in comparison to England stadiums, it's still cheap. It has to be cheap. Football has to reach as many people as possible. Then it's Dortmund, the Dortmund way. I just explained the example of the stand with the 25,000 supporters, which we of course could reduce, but we won't do because the experience definitely would change. We asked ourselves, how can we transfer the real experience to people who are not able to join the stadium? And then we installed a BVB app, which maybe is a little bit different than other apps, because when you open the app, more than 2 million people do use the app, and a big asset we do have, more than 90% ask for the push notification. This shows you the loyalty of the people again. They have it in their jacket, and 90% are waiting for a message of Borussia Dortmund. But don't misuse it. Don't send them rubbish to them, because then you will lose them. So try to send them as much sensible content as possible. But coming back to the BVB app, you can differentiate where you are. If you are in the stadium, you get a different intensity and density of information than being outside. And the way we communicate to the people is different if you just listen to the game on the radio, or if you just need the information who scored and what's the final result of Borussia Dortmund. So we try to experience the match day, even if you are not in a stadium, in a very individual way. And we made the decision, in order to gain as many people as possible, to extend the football experience from 105 minutes to more than 800 minutes. Because in our mind, the match day is the day of the week. The match day is the day all of us are working for. And in the moment you get up, you should know this is the day for all the Dortmund supporters. And now with the BVB app, we are able to extend the football experience through the whole Saturday from morning 9 until the evening 8, and we deliver as individual in content as possible to the people in order to give them the opportunity to join the matchday experience of Dortmund as well. To give you two more examples how important the supporters and the emotional relationship between us and the people is, I just want to let you know that we really invest in the treatment of our supporters. Almost 10 guys are now working as fan delegates, as guys who care on the fan concerns for the club, which is important to be as close as possible to the people. So it's not only investing in infrastructure and in talented players, it's also investing in people who are concerned about the fan guys. And the fan delegation meeting we have, it's a regular assembly with the fans. So whenever we make a change in our strategy, in our politic, we discuss it with the people. We try to give them the feeling to be as close as possible part of the club, because then they feel also responsible for the football experience. And to give the people the feeling that the club still belongs to them is one of the most important assets of our club. Final chart is not that important anymore for you guys. It's daily business to invest in people, to invest in coaching, in service trainings. But for our experience, this is a very, very unique approach in German football, that we not only invest in buying stars and players, that we also invest in infrastructure, in stuff, in order to protect the real football experience. And with the knowledge that the real football experience is our main asset, we are very, very convinced that we are competitive to other big brands. We never will be on the level of Real Madrid or Barcelona or Manchester United, but we still will be able to tell the people a story which could interest them. And the way we celebrate the football, the way we love the football is different, and in my mind, the way the people love. See the pictures finally from the final 2013 in Wembley. We lost against Bayern Munich. Of course, we wanted to win the Champions League, but at the end, all the Dortmund people loved the way how they experienced the final in London. The London downtown was black and yellow. We installed so many entertaining but authentic entertaining stuff to the people that the people really felt close to Dortmund, although we were in the capital of the United Kingdom. And to combine the football experience, a final like this, with entertaining tools like introduced to you on this slide, this is the way we love to celebrate football. This is the way we try to transfer the football from Dortmund to other places of the world. And the people loved the weekend, and when they talk about 2013 Wembley, they don't talk about the loss, they don't talk about the 1-2 against Bayern Munich, they talk about Wembley, and we're proud to be part of the Dortmund family in Wembley. And this is in our mind also part of the way how we treat them, and this is important as well. The fan experience in Dortmund is independent from the results in football, although the football game is still most important. Hopefully I was able to give you some insight in the way how we treat our people, how the football experience is explained in Dortmund. It's easier to do it in German words, but I hopefully did it in the right way in English, and especially the person who's doing the translation into Polish was able to follow me. For your interest after lunch, I would like to thank you as well. I hope you will keep your fingers crossed for Borussia Dortmund. And if you are interested to come to Dortmund to experience the intensity, just let me know. Tickets will be available in a limited way, but if it would be able to gain more supporters in Warsaw and in Poland, we would definitely try. So thanks for your attention. Keep your fingers crossed for the BVB.